Have you ever felt it? That quiet, heavy weight that comes with being the educated one in the family? You know, that unspoken expectation that your success isn't really just your own, but it's supposed to be the financial lifeboat for everyone you love? It's this intense pressure that can turn gratitude into guilt and love into this heavy, heavy obligation. So today, we're going to break down this pressure matrix.
And wow, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? That feeling, it isn't about being ungrateful, not at all. It's this really complex knot of love and duty and guilt, all tangled up in a huge lie we've all been sold about what education and hard work are supposed to deliver.
Okay, so let's start by actually naming this invisible force. What is this pressure, really, and how is it constructed? Because you can't exactly dismantle something you can't even see.
Well, you could call it the architecture of expectation. And it's not an accident. It is a system. It's deliberately built on a fantasy. The idea that one person's degree is basically a lottery ticket for the whole family. And this architecture, it gets built piece by piece in our everyday conversations.
It usually starts really subtly, right? With these casual comparisons. But this isn't just an observation. It's a measurement. It's totally designed to make you ask yourself, wait, why am I not doing that? Am I falling behind?
And then the architecture adds another layer, future assumptions. Your career path stops being your own journey. It gets framed as the solution to everyone else's problems. That promotion you're working toward? Oh, it's already been mentally spent to fix the roof or pay off a loan.
And then bam, sometimes it's not even subtle. It's just a direct judgment. This kind of statement cuts so deep because it implies your perfectly normal salary is somehow a sign of failure. It just hammers home that idea that education was supposed to equal wealth, and if it hasn't, well, something must be wrong with you.
So you have to ask, how does this whole architecture of expectation get so strong? Well, it rests on one central, really powerful lie, a lie that an entire industry was built to promote.
And here it is. This is the fundamental bait and switch. We were all sold the myth that getting an education guarantees wealth. But the reality for the vast, vast majority of us is that education leads to employment. It gives you a salary to pay your own bills, not a fortune to build an empire for everyone else.
And look, this myth didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was amplified and sold to us by what some call the hustle gospel, that whole industry of motivational speakers, business coaches, and social media gurus. They all preached that if you just worked hard enough, you'd get exceptional wealth. They drilled this idea into our heads and, maybe more importantly, into our family's head.
And this is a really crucial point. Your family isn't being malicious. They are not the villains in this story. They were sold the exact same impossible dream. They believed the hype because a whole culture promised them that their sacrifice would lead to this massive return on investment.
All right, so now let's pivot from the cultural story to the cold, hard numbers. Because the math behind this expectation, it was just never, ever going to work for most people.
The numbers really tell the story, don't they? Our economic system, pretty much by design, just doesn't create widespread wealth. What it does is produce a very small number of wealthy people, a modest group that's comfortable, and then a huge majority, like 75%, who are pretty much always financially stretched.
So let's be crystal clear about this. Landing in that 75% isn't a personal failure. It is a statistical norm. You can do everything right, get the degree, work 2 jobs, hustle like crazy, and still find yourself in the exact same boat as most other people. This isn't a character flaw. It's just math.
And this is the trick they play, right? The hustle industry shows you the 1%, that one person who made it big, and they tell you their story proves the rule. They conveniently forget to mention the other 99 people who followed the exact same advice and ended up right where they started. They sell the exception, not the rule.
So if the old script is a complete fantasy, how do you escape it? Well, you have to introduce a new one. It is time for an honest conversation, one that's based on reality, that can finally break you free from this impossible weight.
The first step is learning to hold 2 truths in your head at the same time. Yes, your family absolutely sacrificed for you, and that education was never a guarantee of wealth. Yes, their needs are real, and your single salary cannot possibly solve generations of financial struggle. This isn't about choosing one truth over the other. It's about acknowledging the full, complex reality of the situation.
This sentence right here, this is the foundation of your new script. It's not an excuse, it's a clarification. It draws a powerful, necessary line between the fantasy of having wealth and the reality of having a paycheck. It completely reframes the whole conversation.
And please, remember this. Having this difficult conversation is not selfish. It is not abandonment. It is an act of profound long-term love.
It's about stopping a performance that's based on lies so that you can finally build a relationship based on what's real and what's sustainable.
And this all leads to the final and, honestly, the most liberating step of all, giving yourself permission to just be ordinary and completely reframing what success and responsibility actually mean.
This is all about separating a false debt from a real responsibility. You do not owe anyone the fulfillment of a hustle gospel fantasy, you owe them honesty. You don't owe them wealth, you owe them consistency in what you can sustainably give.
I mean, what if we just stopped seeing a normal life as some kind of failure? In a world that is so fundamentally unstable, just paying your bills, helping out where you actually can, and refusing to destroy yourself for a lie, these aren't small things. These are massive achievements.
When you strip it all away, the ultimate takeaway is this: your value as a person has absolutely nothing to do with your net worth. Your worth is found in your character, in your honesty, in your integrity, not in your ability to fulfill a promise that was never real to begin with.
So I want to leave you with this thought. In a culture that relentlessly sells the exceptional as the only valid goal, maybe the most radical and successful thing you can possibly do is build an honest, sustainable, ordinary life. And maybe, just maybe, that is more than enough.